Hey guys, this is Negan Rest, and this is She Wolf Alchemy.
So today we're going to talk about online dating, and it seems like it's the main way to find an eligible partner today. You really don't hear any more stories about people running into someone at the supermarket and smiling, and he asks for your number. That is just not a thing you hear that happens like that anymore. So today we're talking about online dating, and is it worth it? So first, let's start with the long-term sites. I'm talking about eHarmony, OkCupid, Hitch, Christian Mingle. Neek, do you have any experience with any of these?
Actually, I have been on Christian Mingle before. We had in common that we were both Christians, and most of the people on there were Christians. I don't know any people that weren't, but it wasn't just like Christians. It said like atheists too. Like it had like different things you believe. It's just different things you may believe in.
That seems so stupid. Like, I don't understand why, as an atheist, you'd be like, let me try Christian Mingle.
I don't know, because everybody wasn't. It even had Muslims, and that's not Christian.
That's so interesting.
Which is what you believe in or your beliefs, actually.
It should just be religious mingle then.
Yeah, something like religiously me or something. I don't know. But yeah. So I met a guy on there. I met a few people, like 2 or 3, and I just added them on Facebook because after a while you have to pay, and I wasn't interested in paying. So but the guy, he started to get on my nerves a little bit. Like, he was a little bit too corny for me. And I'm like, I need more than just you being a Christian. I need us to like have things in common, have fun the same type of ways. And it was just like, he's just keep ignoring. Like, he was like a little kid that keeps on like, what you doing? Like, we weren't on the same level. So I didn't have any luck there.
So he was corny.
Yeah. I hate to say that, because what makes somebody corny? What? It was corny to me. But I also tried eHarmony, but that was years ago. But I don't remember exactly how it went. I just remember like the profile, and then everybody that so-called quote unquote matched with me was not my type at all.
That was my experience with eHarmony too. Like, I felt like I got on there for like a week, and I feel like a week is stretching it. It might have been like 4 days. And the same thing, everybody that matched with me looked like my high school science teacher or math teacher. And at the time I was like 22. So I was like, what's going on here? I don't feel safe. It was not great. I don't even think I replied back to anybody. Every time I got on, I was just like, no. What about like Hitch?
I don't even remember, did I even really put a picture?
eHarmony, I've done Hitch. I haven't done Christian Mingle. I'm not a Christian, so that one is not one that really interested me. Did not know they had an atheist section. But to me, when it comes to things like long-term dating, I feel like you need to be somewhat on the same page when it comes to religion, because that's a big thing, especially when it comes to raising your kids. Anything with any type of religion, I'm like, yo, chill. I'm good. let's not do this to ourselves. I've tried Hitch. Hitch is the one that was like heavily advertised during COVID last year. They had a whole bunch of commercials like, this is a dating app that's meant to be deleted. And I don't know why with Hitch, I just kept running into people who were friends with people I've already dated. So that was my issue, and I don't know why. Like, there's one person, like, we matched, we had great convo, was very attracted to him, and then he was like, do you know blank blank? And I was like, you got to give me more details. That's a very generic name. And then gave me the full name, and I was like, oh yeah. And he was like, okay, so you do know there's a picture of us on my profile. And in my defense, it was a club pic. Like, they were at a club dancing. It wasn't even like they were standing around, like, doing that hands folded in front of them stance that every guy has. It wasn't even like it was that. They were like actively in the middle of dancing. And it was one of those pictures where it's like, unless I'm really focusing on y'all faces, I would not have noticed that until you said something. So he was like, I can't, because I talked to the bro and I brought up your name. And he was just like, yeah, no, me and her date, which, by the way, we weren't dating. But no, I still would have said no. Like, the minute he said that, I would have been like, oh yeah, we do need to back off. So that happened on Hitch. So I gave up on Hitch. It was not a good experience. Also, they have this thing where people can send like, I think it's like send flowers, like it's like a rose or something. I can't remember. Honestly, I wasn't on there long enough or invested enough to remember. But it was so stupid to me because it was like this pointless thing that I didn't know what it meant. It's like, you know how on Facebook they have Facebook poke? And when they first introduced it, people just kept poking you and you're like, I don't understand what this poke means. Like, what? Please stop poking me. That's what the flower thing felt like to me. And I'm pretty sure it's a flower. I think it's like a rose or something. But it was like really annoying because it would be people who wouldn't even write me a message. It would just be that. And I was like, I don't, what am I supposed to do with an emoji rose, sir? This is not the romantic gesture that you think it is.
Like, what is it? Like,
I don't know. I have no idea.
I also tried Upward. That's another one that you swipe left and right. And it's the same concept as like Hitched or Bumble, but they're all supposed to be Christians. But they were the people that I seen on the other side. You could still be Christians on there too, but it didn't have like, some of them had like, you know, weed and alcohol. Like,
First of all, God made the earth and everything that grows from it. So let's start there.
It's not so like, with the like, you could just do the go. Like, you could be a Christian to be all these things, but I'm just like, you're just trying to be on every site, I believe.
Yeah. No, there's definitely those people.
You're just trying to be on every site. So it wasn't, and on top of that, it wasn't like really local. Like, it wasn't like in my Midwest area. It was like going far, and I'm like, why is it everybody? I didn't really like that.
I've never heard of that one. You also mentioned Bumble though, and I feel like Bumble's a good in between. It's like between Tinder and like eHarmony. Like, it's that middle ground. And I've had actually the best experience on Bumble. Like, if I ever get on dating sites again, it would be probably Bumble. The men were usually professional. They weren't pushy. And also, you know, it's that women friendly because the women have control. Like, you can't message me. The woman has to message first. And it gives you control because you definitely have those guys that like just bug you to death. You're like, sir, I didn't reply the first time. Please leave me alone.
Yes. I kind of like that more. I don't do Bumble.
Yeah, I didn't have any on Bumble either. Like, by the time Bumble came around, you know, I was like 28, you know, and up. It was different than being younger and being on it because when you're younger, you're like, I'm not paying for nothing, especially as a female. But when Bumble came along, like, I'm a professional at this point, and I would just pay like a week and to see the beeline, because they have something called beeline where you can just see who matches with you and you can click from them. And I would do that. I ended up doing that with Tinder last year as well. We'll get to that, but I like that better because I don't like the swiping. Like, I just don't like going through people swiping. I just let me see who I already pick, and then I would just go through. I'm like, okay, I agree with you. I don't agree with that. I agree with this one. I don't agree with that one. And it just made it a lot simpler. And I've had some good experiences on there. I mean, obviously none resulted in like marriage, but I would say for the single girl, that's probably your best bet.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that's promoted as long term, as like meet your future boyfriend, your future husband, your future wife, monogamy. Do you think these ones actually produce monogamy though? Hinge, the OkCupids, the Hitch, the Christian Mingles, even the Bumbles.
I don't know. I see here and there.
I do know some people who met. Actually, a girlfriend of mine. This was like 2018. I convinced her to get on Bumble because she was like, I haven't dated in a long time. She was like, but I don't want to do like the hookup culture. And she's a little bit older than me, and so 2018, I think she was like 36 at this time, and she was like, I want to settle down. I want to be in a relationship, blah, blah, blah. And so I encourage her, do you know the first man she matched with is still her long-term boyfriend now?
What? They're like still together?
They're still together. They just moved in together last year. And it was literally, she only matched with one person. And I remember her telling me like, oh, I met this guy on Bumble and I matched with him, blah, blah, blah. I was like, cool. You, anybody else? And she was like, oh no, I matched with him. And then I just kind of stopped swiping. And I was like, what? And I remember being like, girl, no, don't do that. You need a, she was like, no. But yeah, she actually, the only person she ever swiped ended up being like, they got into a relationship, they fell in love, they just moved in together. So like, it's going really well for them.
They were looking for the same thing at the same time. Even I think me and you talk about this, like we get on there, but like we're not ready for that. Like, it's just a moment.
Look, first of all,
like,
I ain't been on since like January.
But it's been times in the past that you have got on there.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even, we're not talking about now. We're not gonna do that. But like even before, we have talked about, I have got on there curiosity, but it's just like, and then when people start messaging with stuff, you're like, oh, I am not ready for this.
Yeah. Last year, I was trying to have a hot girl summer, but I didn't realize that's what I was trying to do. I did not follow up with what I said I was wanting in my profile. So that's the thing. I am guilty of that.
Yeah. What happens?
Yeah. So I think you can actually do long term. As a matter of fact, no, one of my coworkers in Cincinnati, when I worked in Cincinnati, she met her husband on OkCupid. And they're married. They've been married for like years at this point.
I have never heard of that one.
You've never heard of OkCupid? So like back in the day when Plenty of Fish was where like all the broke people went, OkCupid was like the next level. She had to pay for certain features.
Okay.
So she went on there and she met her husband. He's a really great guy. So I think some of these long-term ones, definitely you can find real long-term monogamous relationships, but like anywhere, like you also have those people who aren't sure and who present themselves one way and that's not what they want, that's not who they are. So it's still like dating in the regular world. It's a little bit more dangerous, but the thing is, like, even in person, the people that you run into that get your number while you're waiting for your coffee and they're like, oh, hey, you're absolutely beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Even that, like, it's a stranger. You don't know if he's a serial killer at the coffee shop either.
Just because y'all run into each other. Yeah. I was wondering, like, does people really find love on there? But okay.
Yeah, so apparently some people do. I think, like with everything, it's timing. Love is it's getting lucky. It really is. It's getting lucky. I know lots of amazing women and men who would make amazing spouses and they're single and they haven't found their person. And I know a lot of horrible people who have. So, it's a luck of the draw. It's not about if you're a good person or if you're a bad person, unfortunately. It's just one of those things where it's like so many things in the universe have to line up to make that happen.
I agree.
So, okay. Tell me one good experience you have found in any of the long-term sites. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I don't think I have any good experiences.
Okay. you have to have that one person where you're like, it was nice though. Like it was great dates and we just decided that we weren't each other's person. You don't have anything like that?
Are we talking about Bumble too? But no.
Yeah, Bumble too.
No, because I started to get on Bumble after my like fiance passed away. So it wasn't like I had the time as much. I mean, I'm a single mom, so I don't have as much time. So I don't even think I only went on one date from Bumble. And the others, no. So I don't have any good stories, but you can tell yours because I don't have any with that.
Okay. You know what's funny? Because I think
that was before. When we get to those, I have stories about that.
Okay. You're like, I'm ready for the bad experience one.
So before that, I was a little bit more of a free spirit. So I don't have any stories like from there that I can
success.
Think of. No.
Okay. No, with Bumble I had lots of great I met lots of great people that I've dated. Some I just end up being friends with. Some I dated for a couple months and it went great. I think I had one experience where it was great and we had a great time. We dated for a couple months and we just weren't each other's person. But you know what's funny? He's a very artistic guy. Like he is an artist actually. And one of my friends I ended up finding out later kept coming across him and kept trying to match with them, and he would not match with her. And she was so mad when I finally showed her a picture. She was like, I've been trying to get him for like a year. She was like, me and him have matched on several sites, but he refuses to reply back to me. And I was like, girl, my bad. You want me to back off? She's like, no, go have your fun. But it was fun. Actually, he actually took me on some of my favorite dates. He was a really good date planner. Our first date, he took me to this amazing lake, which is, I mean, well, yeah, it's a lake, it's a park though. Took me to this amazing park, which is now me and my daughter's favorite park. And he took me to this park. This park is like on a lake, and they have these huge, you know, those porch swings like your grandma has on her porch, and they're long and like 2 or 3 people can sit on them. So along the lake, they have a whole bunch of these sitting single file, and there's like 10 of them, and you can swing on them while you're looking at the lake. And so we met there, and he texted me beforehand, like, yo, what's your favorite drink? What's your favorite ice cream or whatever? And he was like, what type of music you like, blah, blah, blah. And like, he met there, he had like a picnic like blanket, and we went onto the swings. He brought me my favorite ice cream. He had his, I had mine. He got me like a whole bunch of snacks that he got like in this like little like basket. He had downloaded a playlist of songs that he thought I would like based on my music choice. And we just like sat on the lake and like talked and got to know each other. And I know that doesn't sound like, okay, girl, he didn't spend money, but that's the type of dates I like. Like, I want to get to know your personality. And so I actually really, really enjoyed that. And actually, our second date, because again, he was an artist, I told him like, oh, I love art. I'm not good at it, but I like to do it. And so he used to teach wine and sips, like paint and sips on the weekends, or like whenever somebody needed a teacher for one of those, he would do them. And I was telling him like, yo, that's so cool. I love those and blah, blah, blah. So for our second date, he got a private studio for us, and he did a wine and sip just for me, and got like my favorite wine, and same thing, a playlist with all my favorite songs. And he like really got up and taught. He was in the front, he was doing a sketch and an outline and painting, and like, okay, and this is the technique and blah blah blah. And so like I actually did a wine and sip, and then we got something to eat. And that was my whole experience with him. Like every time we went on a date, he was very, very creative, and we had a lot of fun. We actually had a couple all day dates as well. He would do this thing where like one time he hit me up in the morning, texted me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm about to drop my daughter off at daycare. I don't feel like going to work. And he was like, well, call off. And I was like, yeah, I think about it. And he was like, no, call off and let me take you out to breakfast. So I was like, cool. So I called off, and he took me out to breakfast, and then we went to the park, and then we went to a bookstore, and we went to a record store. We went to this area in Atlanta called 5 Points. Is it 5? Yeah, I think it's 5 Points. And we went there, and we went like shopping and stuff. So he had bought me some like crystals, because they had like a crystal shop and incense. And then we just like went through down there, and then we went to lunch. And so we went to lunch, and then after that, we went and go caught a movie, and I had to go pick my daughter up. So I went and go pick my daughter up, and that day she was actually going with her dad. So he went back to his place, and then once her dad came, I, gave her to her dad and was like, hey, and then we went out to dinner. Like we spent pretty much that entire day together. So that was a good experience there. There was also there was a couple of like good experience. Like there's a person who like I'm really cool with now. Like me and him are real, real cool. We do not want to be together, but we're very comfortable with each other.
The first little picnic date. Like
if you think hard about it, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You know exactly why I can
follow. You know who it is for the first date.
Sit there and think about it. You already know.
I already know who it is. I know who it is. I know who it is when you start describing it the first time. I already know. Yeah.
But no, I'm saying if you think about it, you know also why I didn't like fall in love.
But me, I'm not like that, you know?
I am. I try to push past it. I try my hardest to push past it. I tried.
Yes, I already know. And I know, yes. Oh, my problems too. Like,
I know. I
I know.
know.
I do.
Again, me and you are always the exact opposite on everything. So no, but you know what? I also found my comfort person who's like, who's been in my life for like, I think about to be like 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I know. 3 years. He had told me that earlier this year, like, we about to know each other for 3 years. And I was like, I feel like it has not been 3 years. He's like, no, it's been 3 years. I don't know why you keep trying to make it seem like we don't know either. I was like, anyways, it went into a whole thing. Anytime we spend too much time together, it becomes this whole thing where I'm like, okay, so I'll see you in a month. But yeah, also I met him on like Bumble. And then I did have an experience where I did meet somebody that I dated for a while. Um, and it technically was a good experience. It technically was a good experience. He had his stuff, but it didn't work out. But it technically was a good experience. I have no stories to share on him. So I think one of the things you have to be careful on is even on these long terms, especially on these long term sites. I feel like is that these long term sites attract manipulators.
Mm-hmm.
Like it attracts men who know you're looking for marriage, who know you're looking for a relationship. It attracts what we call hobosexuals, which is
Yes.
men who live like where do they live? Wherever you live, sweetie. Because he gonna move in with you after the first 3 weeks.
But it was a freaking term. He seen my place and he was like, "Oh, this is where I'm gonna be."
No ma'am. No ma'am. No ma'am.
As a quick, like this is a whole thing.
It's a
Yeah.
whole thing. Girl, I got whole cousins that is their livelihood. Like, what do you do for a live? What does your cousin do? Girl, he just lives with people. He lives with women and impregnates them. That's what he does for a living. I don't know what else to tell you. It's a whole thing.
So before it's called ghosting. It's called ghosting. And like the guy or the girl or your best friend, anybody.
Wait. What is it? What is this ghosted thing?
It's an MTV show. Ghosted. So you're trying to figure out like why did they ghost you?
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a best friend, it could be somebody you're dating. Or those are the only two I guess you can have, or a regular friend. So this guy was actually like ghosting women. Like he would go he was living in each of these women's house. So she found out that she wasn't the only, she thought she was in love with him. Come to find out he did this to like 4 other women and they all got together. He did the exact same thing. I'm like, the thing, you're making all these women think that you love them.
It's a thing. I think these long-term sites attract those type of people versus like Tinder, because Tinder, like, what it is for the most part. But these long-term sites, there's definitely some men who are predators, and they know that women, especially once we start getting to a certain age, they're like, oh, they really, really want a husband, or they really want a kid. And if I dangle this over their head and make them think I'm going to give them that, they're going to put up with a certain level of stuff. They're going to let me get away. As long as I start off good, then I can slowly slip. And that's definitely a thing. I have clients that do that. Like, it's a thing. One time I had a client, he was in jail and I needed to confirm where he would be living. So I went to go see him and I was like, no, matter of fact, he called me. I was like, yo, by the way, I need to confirm where you're living before we go to court or whatever. And he was like, oh, okay, well, 224 Peach Lane. And I was like, okay, 224 Peach Lane. Who lives there? Jessica. Okay, who's Jessica? My girl. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Oh. Also, 445 Rainbow Lane. Okay, 44. Who there? Mariah. Who's Mariah? My girl. Okay. Like this is a real story. This man gave me 4 different women's names. And he was like, whoever said I can stay there, just, go with them, let me know later. And I was just like, sir.
I'm not doing this. You took a picture already.
I mean, it was my job, so I did. The first one that was like, yeah, he can live here. I was like, okay, girl. All right. I mean,
the first one said yes.
Huh?
The first one said yes.
The first one said yeah. I didn't even have to call the others. But like, it's a whole thing. I think that's one of the things you have to be wary of, because some of these men, I don't believe they even consciously are aware that that's what they're doing, but that's their MO, that's their pattern. They meet women, they date them, they treat them nice at first, they slowly slip into who they truly are, and then anytime the woman's like, I'm about to leave, blah, 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 he's like, look, I love you. Let's move in together. I love you. I promise I'm gonna marry you. I'm trying to get my finances together. I promise I'm gonna marry you. I just, let me finish this degree. You work now and let me finish my degree. And then when I finish, then I'll work and then you can be a stay-at-home mom. We're gonna get married, we're gonna have kids, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a whole thing, ladies. You have to really learn to pick up on red flags and not ignore them. Because I think also some of the times some of us be like, this is seeming real pinkish. This is seeming real magenta-y type flag. It's not red, and then we ignore it until we get to a certain point, and then we end up on Snap. And we don't have to end up on Snap. We don't gotta do that. We don't have to kill that man. We do not have to make that man's mama cry. Like, we can just end it. We can end it beforehand.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so what about the fling sites? What about like Tinder, Plenty of Fish? Do you think these sites serve their purpose?
Oh, okay. I have been on Tinder maybe after we graduated 2013-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I got on there. I guess I was just trying to find somebody to date. I got out of a bad relationship and I was like, let's see what this is about. And I met one person that was just trying to do that. And I met another person that was a good stand-up type of guy. And the person that was trying to do that, I was like, oh no, I am not. And girl comes to find out, like, he met somebody on Tinder and impregnated her.
I believe that. I feel like that happens a lot more than we think.
Yeah, his first kid was by somebody he met on Tinder the first night.
Y'all wrap up.
That's what we talked about on our first date. How he already impregnated her and still trying to go out and date her.
He's like, let's try this again.
I'm like, do you think I'm gonna let you close to me? Like, no. What? He was cool, but I always fall for the wrong ones. He was cool to hang with. It's like cool, but we used to always argue a lot. But other than that, he was cool. But the other guy, but he really wasn't cool because he got on my nerves because it seemed like that was all he was about, and I wasn't really trying to be about that. I was just trying to figure out what I was trying to do. Mm-hmm. But the other guy, he was cool. He's in the Air Force, so he just bought a house close by me. So we would just kick it. He'll show me his house. He'll take me on nice dates. We'll talk. But I don't know what wasn't clicking with us, but I gained a good friend out of it. And we're still cool. Like, he used to throw like events around the city and I used to go. Then when he moved, we still like kept in touch, or we'll see each other on Facebook. We'll speak or whatever. And he was really nice. I don't know what I was trying to find when I was on there. But if I was ready, I could have been in a relationship with him.
Okay.
But I don't think I was ready. I was ready to like date again because I got out of a bad relationship, but I was still kind of on the fence about it. But he's a good guy. Like, I don't know if he ever found anybody yet, but at that time, it was good. He took me on a nice day on the first date. He was dressed up to the T's, and I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Yeah.
He came with like a suit jacket, a nice shirt, and I don't even think he had jeans on. I don't know. He was really dressed up. But we became close friends.
You could have used that for your good story. Like, you met a friend. Like, that's still good. It was still a nice experience.
It was a long-term site. I didn't meet anybody in a long-term
site. Okay. You're right. Tinder I have done. So last year, kind of like I said before, I just rather pay. Like, I'm not going through swipes. And so, like, I'm going to pay for a week and I'm going to go about my business. And it was too much for me. I don't know if it's because, last year I was just going through a lot of changes emotionally. I was going through a lot of different things. I should not have dated. Also, I had just ended something. So I really shouldn't have dated, but that's also was my pattern in the past. Like, I would be like, you know what, I'm done with you. Anyways, I'm gonna have a date 2 days later. And you should not do that, guys. Unless you're like 23. Girl, have fun. Once you get to 29, you gotta stop. You gotta be mature. You gotta care about other people's feelings. But with Tinder last year, one thing I remember is I paid for it and went. I don't know. I posted this on my story. I don't know if you remember. Paid for it like 5 p.m. that night and was just like, all right, I'll check in the morning. I woke up in the morning. I had over 1,200 matches. And
Yeah.
one, you have to, huh?
Yeah. I remember you telling me all about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I posted it on my story. Like I screenshot it and was like, yo, this is too much. But you also got to remember, I'm in a metro area. Like I'm in Atlanta. I'm a thick girl in the South. Like, don't have an issue. But like also, Tinder isn't like, it's not people looking for a relationship. So if they see your profile picture and they're like, you cute, they just swipe without reading anything. I found that especially true for men. They'll just swipe, they won't read anything, and they be like, so, dang, you a mom? Like, so that's the first sentence. That is the first thing on my page. So it's not like it's a huge, that's not a compliment having that many because they don't care. They're just like, oh, you cute, go. So I backed off. Like I did not like that. Like it scared me. I was like, this is too many. I just felt super overwhelmed. I liked the pace of Bumble more because it was like I might get like 100 at a time and I could just go through that 100 on the beeline. I might swipe on like 10 people and then you'll write and then out of 10 you might have like 2 who can hold a conversation,
Right.
and that just feels more like manageable versus Tinder. It was just too much. But I did not have a good experience with Tinder at all. There was a guy I met on Tinder last year who was like a finance bro, like used to work stock market, very look at my Benz. You like this Rolex? Let me order the most expensive thing. You know what? No, I know you wanted chicken wings. I'm going to get you the most expensive thing here. I really did not like him. He caught me at a really good time though. I will give him that. And matter of fact, he's somebody like I had matched with before, like 2 or 3 times, and I just never replied to for whatever reason. And he was like, I am going to get you a date or I'm going to keep matching with you. And I was like, okay. And it was horrible. It was a horrible experience. He caught me at a really good period where I was just going through some things. I was really, really mad at a particular person. So I was just like, I just need to get this person out of my system. And so we did go, I finally let him take me on a date and it was not a good date. And yeah, it was not. And I think after him, I just stopped with Tinder. I was like, y'all not my speed. I'm good.
Yeah. See, I guess I haven't gave any of the sites much time, like enough time to even find a real person, I guess. Like 1 or 2, I'm done. It's cool. Then I'll come back in maybe 6 to 12 months. So,
yeah, well, it's definitely a thing of people getting bored and like, all right, let me try this again. But it's the same people. And it's like, well, yeah, you're the same person and you came back, so
yeah, I definitely. And then I asked one of them, like, did we match before? I don't think so. Oh, okay, you don't remember me. Okay, let me just unmatch.
Yeah, no, that has happened to me several times. There's several people that we match every single time. It was one of those things because I would get bored after like deleting it and I would come back on. And we always match with each other because same thing. He would get bored and come back on. So we just kept matching. But like you, I feel like I don't give it enough time. I buy the Beeline, whatever their premium service is where I don't have to swipe. I buy it for a week. And then you have a week to make me feel like, okay, I'm gonna give you my number. And then I delete it after that until I have to come back on the next time.
Same, and start all over.
Yeah. Which is so obviously they're not working. If anybody is wondering.
I mean, some people work for them. Yeah.
No, I've given up on that. I have decided to just be rich and happy. Like I'm just have given up on fulfilling any emotional needs. I just want to be rich and happy at this point. I don't even want to try anymore. Like I have no desire to ever try again. But I think for you it will. You're loving and forgiving.
I'm always in situations that
but you're such a good woman, and so
go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, let me compliment you. I think,
Thank you.
so it's gonna work. It's gonna work. But I do know people who did get on Tinder with, the Tinder purpose and end up finding their spouse. To associates, I know that's how that happened. Matter of fact, one of my homegirls dated this guy for a while, and he was recently divorced when she met, and she had asked him like, oh, how did you and your wife meet, blah blah blah, and he met his wife on Craigslist.
What?
Yeah, this guy, he had posted a story. It was just like basically on some Tinder stuff. Was like, yo, just looking for this, blah blah blah, nothing serious, blah blah blah. She replied, and they got married. So things happen. Things out here happening, y'all. Y'all just gotta try.
I'm trying to say no. That's not get married off of it. So hey,
look, it's a gamble, man. It's a gamble. But I think they serve their purpose. I think you just have to be realistic. Like, don't get on and be like, I'm gonna meet Mr. Right, or I'm gonna find my husband, or get too much stock. I think one of the downfalls, I think particularly with women, sometimes we get on these like sites or apps, and then we are like, oh, I'm meeting such great men. They're so smart, and they're so whatever your characteristics are that you like in a significant other, and then it's good, and the texting's good, and the first couple of dates are good, and they get so wrapped up that they picture a future with this person who really you don't know that well. Mm-hmm. Or you give up on everybody else, and it's like, should you have? And sometimes I feel like it's not even our fault. Like, I've definitely had a situation where I did not go into the situation with intentions on being more serious, and it felt like they pushed that. They were like, let me introduce you to my friends. They were like, oh yeah, my mom said this and this and this and was asking about you. They were very, hey, let's spend this holiday together, blah blah blah, and went with that. And then come to find out, like a couple months into it, they did the whole like, yeah, I'm just don't know, blah blah blah. I'm like, first of all, this was your idea. I could have been happy, having fun, living my best Meg the Stallion life. Okay, that's what I was trying to do. You the one who got wrapped up in this. But I think still have your guards up with those sort of things, because even when you go on those like long-term sites and they'll put they're looking for marriage and they'll blah blah blah. Okay, male listeners, block your ears real quick. Girl, they still men. They still men. Like, don't remember that. Remember that. Just like how they're horrible in person, they're horrible online too. It just takes a while. So remember that. And that's my PSA. Would you like to chime in? You want to give the positive spin?
No.
Okay. Good. Nice that we're on the same page.
At this point, no. I'm always like, oh, I see the light. And then I see the darkness really fast afterwards. So no, you're good. We're good right now. I'll let you know if Mr. ever comes around. I'm like, oh, he made me change my mind. Not right now.
I will live vicariously through you, and I'll be happy and be like, look at my bestie getting married and finding love and being healthy. That's as far as I'm gonna go, is live through her. But watch, you saying all that, and in this like December this year, you go like, guys, I'm engaged.
Literally, that's how it happened the first time.
That's exactly how it happened the first time. So,
and it just happened. Like, I think I love him. What are you saying, Johnny? Okay, go ahead.
No, he was a good guy. He's an amazing guy. But okay. I think so. Let's talk about Ways to keep yourself safe when dating online. So, one of the first things I believe you should do, men or women, take a screenshot of some of their pictures, send it to a trusted friend or family member or whoever. So, if anything happens, they know what the person looks like or what the person allegedly looks like.
Beforehand, because sometimes they're not the same person.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And I especially actually want to stress this to the males because there's a whole thing with girls robbing y'all. Usually what happens is the girl look like a video vixen, looks way out of your league. She talks to you and she invites you over her house like immediately. You get to the house, she's like looking good, smelling good, and she's like, okay, let me go in the back and get some wine. Let me slip into something more comfortable. And then a man comes out with guns and robs you. That happens. It happens more than people like to think. I've actually worked with individuals who have done this. So it's a whole thing. And men, y'all need to be more wary of that. If a girl invites you over to the house the first day, she's not always trying to rob you, but that's what they typically do. Like, usually they're really pressed on trying to meet you immediately, usually like that day, the next day. And then what they do is they delete their profile immediately after, in case you try to like get the police on them and stuff. So take a picture. Always take a picture. Be careful of going. And also, they tend to target y'all who like to take pictures with y'all bins and every piece of jewelry you ever owned on and a big stack of money in one of those pictures. Like, they love y'all. Y'all their favorite people. They be like, oh, let me target him. So another thing is, when you go on these dates, have your location on your phone. Send your location to somebody. I don't know how it works with Androids. I have no idea how Androids work.
Yeah.
But with Apple, so y'all Android people, y'all need to Google it. I don't know how y'all work. But with Apple, you can share your location with somebody. You can share it for the whole night. You can share it for life. And turn that on. So, and also have like a check-in system where you're like, hey girl, things going okay? And you can be like, yeah, girl, or whatever. And also, I believe in having a system where like one of y'all call each other, send a voice text or something.
I didn't think about that, but that's actually a great thing to do.
But me and you share our location.
We share our location, but we never voice text until, well, maybe
we only voice text. What do you mean? We don't even text. We only send voice texts.
Not during the date.
No, but when we get home, it's like, oh, let me tell you about how this date went, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you don't have to do it during the date, but afterwards to be like, I'm home, I'm safe. Let me tell you how this went. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Also, make sure while you're sending things like a screenshot of their picture, get their name. Start asking these men for their full name. Stop meeting up with Tay. Sir, what is your government name?
Take a picture of that license plates if you can.
Yeah. Your real name is Bartholomew. That's what I'm gonna call you, Bartholomew Mitchell Jones. Okay. We're not calling you Tay, but send that name. So again, it's one of those things to know. One of the things I also believe in is sending people's tags. Like, if you are like, let's say we decide, okay, we're gonna go somewhere else, like a bar after dinner or whatever, and you happen to see that car, so you can just take a quick picture, because it's real hard to lie about tags. There's a lot of things you can lie about. You can lie about your name, you can lie about a whole bunch of things, but that tag is going to come back to him, his real name, or to his mama, whoever, but it's going to have some type of connection. Of course, the general, meet in very public places. Like, don't go somewhere where it's very secluded. Like, technically it's public, but it's very secluded. Like, no, don't try to go somewhere well lit. That's another thing. Drive yourself. Get an Uber, whatever. Do not let these people. Do not have your ride to be dependent on them. And not just because you can get kidnapped, but like also it can be as simple as them being like, yo, dropping you off, like, hey, can I come in for coffee? And you're like, no. And now you're in a dangerous situation because they won't let you out. Or y'all drive and they pull over somewhere and you're like, hey, I'm still 20 minutes north. Not having control of when you can leave is always very dangerous. Another thing is, let your date leave first if you can. And that's just so you don't have situations where someone follows you home, gets to know where you live, things like that. That's a thing that happens that I think we don't really think about. I have definitely had a situation where someone figured out where I live and I've never invited them to my home. I don't know how they figured it out, but that was definitely a situation before. So try to let them leave first. Watch them pull off, watch them go in another direction. Pay attention to your surroundings before you get in your car, that sort of thing. And then also, y'all do a Google search. Like, do a Google search, do a Facebook search. You can like avoid wasting so much time if you just put his name in Google and find out he married with 4 kids. Like, find out his baby shower with his wife was just yesterday. Like, now the problem is this does not always work when, especially if they have a very generic name. That is the issue.
Or just not a real name, or just made up some random name.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember that guy I went on a couple of dates? No, I think I went on 2 dates with in Oklahoma. Yeah, that was the thing. Like, he had told me he was a football player. He played football professionally. He was going back to school to get his PhD. Obviously, he wasn't like a household name or anything like that, but he did play professionally for a couple of years, stacked his money, paid for himself to go to grad school. And he was in grad school when we met. And I didn't know the name he was using was technically his middle name. I ended up Googling this man, found out this man had multiple rape charges against him.
How did you find his first name?
Because he was like, yeah, I used to play ball, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, let me Google that. And I couldn't find him. And so I just straight up told him, like, all right, well, you keep bringing this up. I can't find you. He was like, oh, yeah, you got to look it through my legal name. And I found him. But then I also found out he had multiple charges. Wow. And we did have a conversation about that. He was like, and I beat them. And he did beat them. But you had multiple. So, you know, that was just a situation I was uncomfortable with. Yeah, you save yourself a lot of trouble if you just Google the first time. See what pops up.
Yeah.
They're not good at hiding their internet trace yet. They're not there yet, ladies. Take advantage. Okay, so let's talk about the bad experiences you have had while we are talking about we're ending our segment on how to keep yourself safe. You said you didn't have any good experiences, but you had a lot of bad. Tell me one of your bad stories.
I guess I only had one bad.
Okay.
Just a guy that I was arguing with. I guess I already kind of told it, just like him. Only one instance that's how I really didn't want that. And we were arguing about why I didn't want to have sex with him. Like,
why is this an argument, sir?
Whole argument, because I was like, I just want to wait, at least in a relationship and trying to be married. Like, I was on that whole kick at the time. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you do not have to give yourself to anybody if you don't want to. He was like, well, what does it matter? He was like a preacher's kid, but he was like a bad one. Like, what does it matter?
We usually are. Our reputations are not being good. That is not the BK reputation.
Like, sorry, just let it go. Like, let's just not talk anymore. Like, but it wasn't like super bad. Like, it wasn't anything like that. He was just like somebody that it was just like a whole waste of like a couple of months. It was just a bad experience. It wasn't a good one. It was just like, oh, I could have had not wasted my 3 or 4 months with this guy, whatever.
Yeah.
But literally, those are only 2 people that I actually ended up meeting up with.
I definitely have had bad. I'm just trying to remember. I'm really good at detaching myself from a situation, just forgetting about it. So you got to give me a minute to. There's one that comes to mind, but it's like yours. It wasn't like extreme, but it was like, why did you waste my time? I matched with this guy who was a cop. First warning sign. Like, I literally now have a rule. Like, if you're a cop, I refuse for multiple reasons. But at the time, I didn't have that rule. And we dated for like maybe 2 months. So it wasn't anything serious. So he would FaceTime me like every night. And one time we were like FaceTiming, he was like, hold on. And I'm like, okay. And then he called me back and he was like, tell me this crazy story about his best friend. His best friend had a girlfriend, but he had a baby mom who The girlfriend didn't even know he had a baby mom because he cheated on her, got this other girl pregnant, and both girls were at the house, and one girl was swinging a bat. And like, he was telling me this extremely crazy story. Now, this other guy is also a cop. So I'm just like, what? And he's telling it to me so casually, like this is a normal thing. You know, his baby mom at his house, like trying to kill his girl, it's fine. And I was just like, okay. And that should have been my first warning. Come to find out, he was a lot like his best friend. He had a lot of drama. So I eventually found out like he was engaged, and he had like just actually recently ended his engagement. And he was engaged to like an Instagram model who had him basically going bankrupt. And he like was messing with her. He had an ex-wife who he had a very volatile relationship with, and he was messing with her still. And yeah, and like again, it was very casually dating. So I wasn't invested, but it was just like one of those crazy stories because it ended up coming out like he was still dating his ex-girlfriend. And I was like, how can he afford this? Because oh, you're taking me on very good, expensive dates, but you're also paying for this woman's rent. And then you're also paying alimony, child support, and then you're still dating, technically, your ex-wife. And then come to find out, he popped up with a whole other girl that he ended up on a Facebook, like we're in a relationship thing with. And I was cool. I was like, okay, you know, whatever. We weren't exclusive. So it wasn't a big thing to me. But girl, the wife, the ex-girlfriend, and the girlfriend started a whole drama in his comments of this person is now dating this person. I was just like going through, and I was like, how many people are involved in this? And like, it was a mess. So that was a bad experience just because with that particular person, like it was always something new popping off that was just very drama filled, very, oh yeah, you know, my ex-wife, you know, she threw an axe at me. Like, sir, please don't involve me. You dating women that like to throw axes at people you're dating. I don't want any of that. And yeah, there's some other stuff, but you know, I keep saying where I live now, and I just feel like I should not get into too much detail. But yeah, it was not a good experience. It was just one of those experiences where it was like, you should not be on any dating site. You have enough dating going on in your life, and the dating that you're doing is very chaotic.
Exactly. I think I have like two stories. Now, like the one guy asked me to come to his house for wine and to chill, and I said, "Well, can we meet public place?" Like, and now since you were talking about like the rabbit, it's like he was like too eager for me to meet, and I'm like, no. So pay attention to your red flags and like creepers, and I just blocked him. I mean, I just unmatched him. It was like kept asking me to go on a date like over and over, and then come to find out, like, okay, we can meet halfway. Then he wanted me to come all the way 45 minutes to another city.
And this is the Midwest, so that's like far for the Midwest.
It is. It's not.
Because in Atlanta, like everywhere you drive is going to be at least 30. But yeah, no, in the Midwest, that's far.
But halfway, that would be 30 minutes. That would be 20 minutes. Because we're in Ohio. But like for me to come, like, no. And I could just tell that he was like just a chronic dater. Like he just keeps going on these dates. He didn't even hardly remember nothing I said. So I'm just not ready to go on. And he said, okay. And he was like, okay, but can we meet at Chipotle? Basically, I don't know what the name of the place, but I looked it up and it was like Chipotle. I'm like, sir, no, I'm not going on for no freaking burrito.
I don't know why people think Chipotle is a good idea for dates. It's not. If you're trying to go cheap on a first date because you're like, let me make sure I like this person, there are so many other better, cheaper options.
Drink coffee, then like, I don't know.
There's just so many other options. One of my homegirls, this guy invited her on a date to Stone Mountain to hike. She was ticked off. She was like, I really like him, but he's trying, our first date, he wants me to be somewhere where I sweat, can't wear makeup, and my tracks are going to be showing because I have to put my hair up in a ponytail. And I was like, I feel like maybe you should say no. And she ended up going, and she was mad, and she didn't like it. So I was like, see, that's what happens.
Once I had that one.
I think like that's one of those like I need to know that we can have a conversation. We're not about to hike up this mountain on mute because we find out we have nothing in common. Anything where I have to spend long periods of time, like I need to already know we can hold a conversation together.
Yeah, that's a long walk.
Yeah. Like if I decide I don't like this and I'm done with the date, now I gotta walk an hour by myself down the hill. Like, no. Just no. I want to have to take 50 steps maximum to get to my car.
It's easy. It's not easy. But yeah, I get it.
Okay, so how do you know you need to take a break from dating sites? What do you think? How do you know when it's like, okay, I've been doing this, I need to step away? Because now it is getting like that serial dater. Like I'm just matching with people, talking for 3 days, and then unmatching.
I think it's when you get to there, like you're just like you're not finding what you want to find, and you're just like just not having a real purpose in it anymore. It's just like let's take a break and regroup and figure out what we really want. Because I know for me, I know when I need to stop. Because just like you're not finding anything you want, you're not really putting your effort into it anyway. So it's like why even be on there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, okay, let's take a break. And I delete. Well, yeah, most of the time I delete it.
It's a lot starting a whole new profile.
That's just draining, and I want to probably do it.
I think the last time I actually had one, I didn't even write nothing because I was so tired. I think I was like a man's profile. I was like, message me, whatever questions you have, just ask. Like I'm not doing this. Y'all don't read it anyway.
They don't.
And I had one that was so funny and clever. And I know this because everybody wrote me. I was like, you're so funny and clever. But, and then when I deleted it, I was really mad at myself because I couldn't remember what I put. And I was like, that was so good. And I think that's when the next time I was just like, no, I'm not writing anything because I can't match the last one. I don't even remember what I put. So maybe just mute it so you don't have to keep creating profiles. I will say that real quickly. Side note, I love when guys have like a really creative, witty profile. I prefer that a lot more than master's degree, Benz, live by myself, gym head,
no kids,
anything else you want to know, just let me know. Like I hate that. I was just like, you have no personality. I love when they have like something witty in there and more personal. But I will say, I agree with you. I think my biggest thing when I know I need to take a break is when I'm no longer interested in having conversations. Like I just match and then I ignore all my messages. Or I'll open them and I'll just like, and won't reply. And then I'll be like, why are you on here? Russ, what are you doing? And that's how it always ends. Like I'll get to a point where I'm just like, I don't even want to talk to y'all. I think that is the biggest one for me. Also, I guess it depends what you're trying to look for. But I know for me, the last time I went on and I realized like I had to get off, I realized I no longer believe in love. So there's that. But before that, I realized like I actually wasn't interested in dating. Like I was like really like towards it. And I think if you know when you started, you're like, okay, I want to find monogamy and I want to find a partner, or if you're like, I want to have fun and blah blah blah, and then you get to a point where you're like, no, like you're now on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like, maybe take a break. Something happened during this time period. You had some experience that changed how all this worked. Maybe just take a break and regroup and decide like, hey, is this something I need to be doing?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. But I definitely have had periods where I'll get back on, or I'll get to a point where I am now seeing people I've matched with like a year ago or 2 months ago, or someone I've actually been on a date with. And I'll like get through a cycle where it's like all the people I've already talked to start coming up, and I'm like, okay, well, you're at the end of the line. You gotta stop now. Like there's no more people. You ran out of stock of people. You gotta wait till they release the new ones.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like every time I get back on, it's like the same people from a year ago. Are you like continually being on here, or is this like you got off and got on? Like it's like I kind of think you're just on here.
I definitely think those who stay on and just stay on for like a year or 2 years, I'm like, you're the problem. I believe now that you are the problem. You
Yeah.
didn't even take a break.
I know I took a break. So I don't think you took a break though. So you're the problem. Thank you. Like, no.
No. Also, I have a rule. If you are 36 and above and you are like, I had never been in love, I never even thought about marriage, you're the problem, sir. I just I don't care if that's judgmental. I've already decided you the problem. I've done the research, okay? They are definitely the problem. Um, we should just banish them. They're no longer allowed near womankind. Let them work out those mother issues by themselves, and then they can come back.
So they're not a thing. Like,
They're
no.
yeah. It's just always so weird to me where I meet men and they're just like, yeah, no, I've never been in love. And they're like 36. And I'm just like, well, you told me you had a 5-year relationship. So tell me about that. Because like, so what you're telling me is like you let this woman on for 5 years? That's not
basically.
Yeah, I definitely dated this guy who did that, who was like telling me how he had never really been in love, truly in love. And at the time, it was a red flag, but like also, I was like, me either. And I was like a walking red flag. So we were just, waving our flags together. But later, I sat back and was thinking about some things because that situation got taken way too far. So, you know how you do the recap? And I was sitting there recapping and I was like, dang, this person really did tell me like they never been in love before. And they definitely had 2 long-term relationships where they lived with a person.
So how, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, that was your first red flag, okay? That was you should have known right then that he was probably the problem. But I definitely agree. Once I see the same people, I'm like, okay, well, it's time to get off. Also, I think when you start to realize that you're just on there seeking validation, I think when you're very fragile, you should not be on dating sites, especially like if you just broke up with somebody and you're really hurt from the situation. Guy, don't get on a dating site. Like you're gonna ruin somebody else's dating experience. Yeah. There's no need to ruin other good people, but also like those feelings that you're running from are gonna pop up later. Why? Just don't drag somebody else through the mud because you need validation.
I agree.
Because a lot of times those people also don't tell them like, yeah, so this girl I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with ended things with me this weekend. She didn't give me closure, but I am going to take you out Friday. I am going to compare you to her for the next 3 months. I'm going to stalk her social media, and I'm not going to mention that to you. Then when you're wondering why I'm not emotionally bonding with you, I'm not going to be honest with you about that. Like, don't bring another person through that. If you're still emotionally healing from a situation, take a step back. At least heal it a little bit. Get to a point where you can date somebody else without thinking about the other person. If you really are at a point where like you still think about this other person, you're still projecting whatever that situation is onto the new people you're dating, like just see if you can go work it out with that person first of all. Let's see if that's an option. But definitely I think when you're doing that, you need to take a step back because you're just creating more emotionally damaged people. I think everybody I know has ran into that before, where it was somebody who really should not have been dating that was on there. And you're like, I really wish you put this in your profile that you were still grieving another whole other relationship. So overall, let me ask, do you think dating apps and sites are worth it for people who are trying to find monogamy, who are trying to not have to date anymore, they're trying to find their person?
I think it's like a 50-50 chance. It's not like, oh, this is 100%.
I agree with that. I think honestly, overall, I think it's worth it. I think people should give it a try. I honestly think we're going to get to a point where it's like everybody you know, or most of the people you know, that's how they met their spouse. Either that on like Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever.
Something social.
Yeah. So I say give it a try. Keep in mind all the safety tips. Be aware that it's just like your other dating experience. It has its good, it has its bad. Men are still men on there, but women are still women on there. But I say give it a shot. I think it's worth it. I think it's something. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think as much as people want to be like, oh, all this technology has ruined human interaction, I actually think it's made it better because now you can meet people you might have never run across otherwise. And it gives you more opportunity. It makes it less of a draw. Like it's still a draw of the cards. It's still hopefully I get lucky type of situation. But, what are the chances I'm going to run into, this 6'5" guy with a beard and tattoos that works way across town? He's also really, really smart about his business and he wants to be a family person and all this stuff. What are the chances I'm going to meet him when we are on opposite sides of town? We don't know the same people. Maybe he works night shift, I work day shift. The hobby I like, he does, but he does it in Norcross, and I do it in Cobb County. Give me more chances to meet those people that you otherwise probably would have missed.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts on it, Nick?
I just believe that it's worth the try. Like you were saying, I believe it's worth the try. You're not gonna lose any. Well, just go in being honest with yourself. That's my advice. Go in being honest with yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree. Quick check-in, very quick check-in. Did you do any things on your check-in list?
I have journaled a little bit. I want to go back to meditating. I actually been going to sleep at a decent time.
Yay!
So I feel better in the morning. But I want to get back to meditating and trying to manifest some things that I want. But the job search, it's been on hold for a little while because I haven't seen anything that I like.
Yeah.
Been journaling here and there, and that's kudos for me.
Yay. I have meditated and tried to manifest. I actually did manifest something. It's not all the way through. I want to wait till I get everything through before I bring it up. But I got some things in the works where it's like we're almost at the finish line. So that was great. So it's just trying to find the time. That's the issue I'm having, finding the time. I feel like every time I think I have some free time scheduled, something pops up. And it's like, okay, well, either I sacrifice some sleep for this or I go to sleep on a decent time and wake up in a way better mood. Yeah, you know what, guys? I no longer have insomnia. I still have trouble sleeping some days, but I am getting at least 5 hours of sleep every night. The first time since last March.
So that's good though. That's very good for you.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it's a sign that I'm less stressed. Because I've had a couple things pop up lately that I've been doctor, I've been therapist, I've been psychiatrist, all those people. And they're like, at this point, it's just stress. They're like, we done did everything. We think it's just stress. We think this is just how your body reacts to stress. And I stopped caring. So I think that's why I sleep now. I just gave up caring on certain things. So now I can sleep. So, giving up is always a chance. If you have insomnia, maybe just try giving up. That seems to be the cure, just giving up on life. But yeah, I am sleeping now. So there's that.
That's good though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's going to snowball into some other stuff, but we'll see what happens. We'll check back in.
So we're keeping it positive.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But that's all we have for today, and we will have new episodes for you on Thursday.
Yes.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.